In this episode, you'll discover why I don't have time is a lie and how your attention is being stolen by things that don't serve you. Welcome to Energy Alignment for Entrepreneurs, the podcast helping entrepreneurs be free from anxiety, stress, and tension through balancing emotions and consciousness expansion. Here's 3 things we're going to go through today. Number 1, why you have time for scrolling but no time for what matters. Number 2, how to audit your day and expose where your life is leaking. And number 3, the ruthless prioritization, protecting your time like your life depends on it, because it does. So when you look at point number 1, why you have time for scrolling but no time for what matters, the first metaphor that I'd like to kind of lay the groundwork with is when you look at a cup, and if you have this cup and you put all the sand, the small stuff in first, by the time you need to put the big rocks in, there's no more room. But when you put the big rocks in first, all small sand, all small things fit around the big stones. So this is really, it's like asking yourself this question: what am I doing in the most important periods of my waking hours, right? So morning, then middle, then night. Because you'll notice periods in your day where, all right, there's a few ways to look at this. Let's say you have a routine and you're at work for 8 hours. Well, then giving yourself the space before you actually have to leave for work sets the tone for your entire workday, right? For example, if you stay up late the night before and then in the morning you sleep in because of your actions the prior night, then you don't have time to work out, to breathe, to read, to start your day righteously. Now, when you prioritize that kind of holistic living, that simplicity within values and inputs, outputs, now you look, how do you feel in terms of focus, in terms of attention, in terms of mood, in terms of ideation, in productivity, in efficiency? All the material measurements are based upon the immaterial devotion to that which is underlying, that which is fundamental. Meaning, in other words, when you take the time to set yourself up with intention every day and night, the scrolling, the small things, it all goes away because you really begin to live your life with a seriousness, a care, because you really can feel what a heart empty, or what a heart without compassion, without vitality, without strength, what that does to you, how your emptiness spreads to others. So you really reverse engineer the process and you begin to understand, wait, I'm the fundamental main character in my life. And what I put out, it does come back to me. So you prioritize the big things. You see that a lot of life is 20% of the work gets you 80% of the results. The early morning and the night, those periods of how you set your sleep up and how you start your day. It's important to have actions which you don't need to earn anything. God's grace is given to you no matter what. But sometimes the way you're living your life, God gives you a form of acid grace. Jesus Christ moves through you in a way where, since you are not able to yet flow with the connection, you have to be brought low. The meek will inherit the earth. You are brought low so that the acid grace can purify the darkness from your heart. And as your heart sees clearly that you don't live your best life for yourself, you live your best life because you see so clearly what you do to others when you're not your best. So life is truly about a compassion rather than a what is in this for me. It's not that scrolling is bad for you. It's more so, man, when I give my attention away without intention, what am I left with? That's a question to sit with. The answer's in your heart. Your heart is a compass, and God flows through you. It's not that you're special, it's actually the absence of self embezzlement that creates you being special. Now, if we look at point number 2, how to audit your day and expose where your life is leaking. I think practically journaling in relationship to reflection is how you audit your day. So you reflect upon the points in your day where you lose focus. You ask yourself questions in relationship to prioritization, organization, and clarity. For example, me doing what I'm doing now is one of my bigger stones in the day. And I know that. And I've done the work to be clear with myself on what actions have what return on investment. And that is not just in a monetary sense or a business measurement material sense, but also ROI in the grander scheme in terms of energy, vitality, strength, power, clarity, enthusiasm. Look at your life and really the audit gets strong, not by aspiration, but rather by subtraction. When you audit your day and you expose where your life is leaking, you see, you look at the bucket analogy, right? You have a hole in the bucket, you keep putting water in the bucket. It's not that you don't have enough water. You could have never ending water, but if your bucket has holes in it, right? So the auditing of your day is really to expose the holes in the bucket, not to create a overflow of water. The flow is natural. The spirit, the life, the source, the energy, the growth, the change, that is always coming into your life. The question is, where are the holes in my bucket? Where are the holes in my spirit? Where are the holes in my relationship to that which is incommunicable, that which is beyond language? Because when you begin to unravel and decipher the way that you're stabbing yourself in the back, then you'll see the game in which you're involved in. It is a continuous, you do things to yourself, but it doesn't seem that way. When you get to the root of acceptance and sight, when you really take that speck out of your eye, through God's grace, it's not you manually doing it. When you surrender and allow that speck to be removed from your eye, then you see with integrity, with honesty, what you're doing in the ripple effect that the holes in the bucket are creating. Whether that be with interpersonal relationships, in career, in personal psychology, in your own energy. The fundamental root of reflection, it spreads throughout your entire life. When you take accountability for your actions, for your words, for your movement, for your rhythm, the list goes on and on. When you take the utmost accountability, then you are kind of really putting that energy out into the world that you see. There is no blame, there's no escapism, there is no, you did this to me. It may materially, externally seem like someone did something to you, but that's never actually the case. It's always for you. Always. Even when you're stabbed in the back, even when you're betrayed. God has something greater for you. The degree of pain that you are able to withstand, it's correlated to the depth in which God, Jesus Christ, the words don't matter, the labels don't matter. People will try to put you into a box and say, this is this and this is that. Words are irrelevant. The reality is that when you surrender to that which is greater than you, you'll begin to see, man, there are things that I'm doing wrong. There are sins that I am committing. There are things that I can surrender to and pray that these pieces of poison or darkness will be removed from thy heart. When you pray, when you devote, when you bring yourself low voluntarily, then that is just reaffirming that you have open ears and open eyes. And as that is reaffirmed, that energy continuously grows on itself in a beautiful way, in a way that maybe your life isn't easy. Maybe you still have challenges. You will. But the way in which you move through them is now with a level of appreciation that younger you would never be able to have. And therefore the rhythm, the motion, the the wake behind your footsteps, that is also renewed. And with that, we look at point number 3, the ruthless prioritization, protecting your time like your life depends on it, because it does. So now the word guarded immediately comes to me. And this it's about boxing yourself in. It's not about drawing boundaries and preventing vulnerability in your life. It's actually more so that you prioritize with a level of ruthlessness that is first and foremost aware of the big stones in your life. But then you are still open. You're open and playful and really willing to feel where you're being guided. Because part of life is creating the space and subtracting the mental chatter which used to take all space so that you can actually receive something new. There is work to be done to create the space so that you can receive. But it's not necessarily through you that the work is done. So basically, in other words, maybe even look at Pokemon. You have like evolutions of Pokemon. That's right, aging. Look at an 18-month child. Look at a newborn. Look at them when they're 2 years old. Look at them when they're 3, 3.5, 4. Continuous change. Continuous. The nature of prioritization is such the same. It is a continuous change. You don't just set boundaries and rules and be extremely mechanical. Now, for me, you will go through seasons and cycles where I do certain things every day at a certain time, okay? Now, there's looseness though. In some periods, it may be extremely disciplined. 3:30 a.m., do this for this period of time for how many years? But then it may change a little bit. Okay, I work out before I go to work. Now, some mornings that's 5, some mornings that's 5:30, right? So there's an ebb and flow, there's a change. The thing is that you can see what happens when you just say yes to everything. Because when you begin to say no, not because you're better than them, not because you're rude, not because you're scared, you say no because your time and energy is the foundational point in which everything else is born through. So if you know that we all have limited time and limited energy as well, then you begin to learn and pay attention to how it's used and you stop wasting. Now, this isn't always easy, but it gets easier as you recognize what you are and what you feel 5, 10, 15, 20 minutes after specific actions. Like, you really will change when you reflect upon what you've done to bring yourself low. And ultimately, it takes such a strength to even admit and be aware and take accountability for the role that you play in your vibration being low. It takes this, okay, I'm actually going to bring skepticism into the way that I'm living, right? That's one point that's hard for a lot of people. A lot of people won't even question what they're doing because they have this worldview or identity of it's done to them and there's nothing they can change. That's weak, that's low. When you start to take accountability and say, man, sure, I was dealt certain cards from birth, but I'm still going to do the best I can with the hand that I was dealt. See, that's level of accountability. Then other levels of accountability are, oh, I see myself as the victim. Like they literally did this to me, right? Someone may have punched you in the jaw, done something. Oh, you broke your leg because someone ran you over. But that next level is, man, God is tricky and in Christ, God is intelligent in a way where that person doing that to you, it actually didn't happen to you. It was for you. Even the hardest things, even getting shot, somehow, some way, there is something deeper coming through hardship. Now, you take that to the farthest extreme, and what if someone has murdered another? Good Lord, look at Jesus Christ being the Lamb, being put on a cross in front of people, and what that did for humanity. I'm going to leave it there. So, no recap. The summary, though, your time is your life, and you're giving it away to things you may be giving it away to things that don't deserve it. So stop lying about not having time and start protecting it like the finite resource that your time is. And say no. Say no to everything that doesn't serve your highest vision. Thank you so much for listening. New episodes are out Monday, Thursday, 10 a.m. Eastern Time. I'm grateful for you, genuinely. Let's go.